introduce yourselves and tell us your NF story.
Hi, my name is Heidi, and I'm an NF mom.
My name's Rory.
Rory was diagnosed when she was 6 with NF type 1. We had been going to regular doctor appointments for her well child visits, and we had a new doctor, and she had noticed that she had cafe au lait marks all over her body, as well as a plexiform neurofibroma. And she said, "You may want to get your daughter checked out. We think she may have a neurological condition." And she was fresh out of college, so we're like, all right, we better get her checked out. And we ended up running over to Mayo Clinic because that was as soon as we could get in anywhere. From there, we ended up going to Children's in Milwaukee for her other appointments. Rory also had displayed headaches quite regularly, so we ended up going to talk to a neurosurgeon, and she did an MRI where we learned that she also has an optic glioma brain tumor. She also is displaying the early neurofibromas, so they've counted a few on her body as well. None of them have surfaced or anything like that yet.
I went through chemotherapy because I have an optic glioma on my optic nerve, which has caused some vision damages. So I went through chemotherapy, and it's been shrinking my tumor, so now it's pretty small.
How was chemotherapy for you? Was that really hard?
Tiring and boring.
Did you get sick from it?
Yeah, she ended up getting pretty nauseous. She threw up a couple times and just felt pretty crummy for quite a while. She was fortunate enough to get into a trial where they were doing a quality of life trial. So she was on carboplatin for 13 sessions, and it was once every 4 weeks. And the quality of life trial was to see if she could get similar dosing as somebody that would be going weekly, but every month instead of going weekly for the dosing. And she had very good results where her tumor almost disappeared. So
Wow.
as we had seen the MRIs, as the time was going, it was shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. Her vision right now is pretty stable. She doesn't have any peripheral vision. So she has I think it's like a 70-degree field like that. And then she has blind spots in her vision as well. She has seen vision specialists quite regularly. She actually works with some through her school system as well, through CISA. And they work with her with a walking cane and everything like that to make sure she's equipped for her needs in the future if she does lose more vision and everything. Last summer, she went through the National Federation of the Blind Braille Academy. It was all virtual, so she's learning Braille.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't think I retained any of it.
It sounds really hard to do.
It's not easy. We were trying to do it too, and just learning the letters and everything, and looking at them is one thing, but to be able to do it with your hands and everything is a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, I bet. What would you say has been the hardest part of having NF?
I'd actually say when I'm looking and trying to see far away, it's hard for me with my vision.
So the vision has been the hardest part for you?
Yeah.
Do any of the kids make fun of you in school because of NF, or do most of them just not know?
Last year, there was one girl who kept on calling me a blind bat.
Yeah, so they do get the bullying, but they also have kids where Rory plays basketball, she plays softball, and she tries to stay active in sports that she enjoys. Just about every season, we have to sit down with the team and the coach, because usually it's a new coach every year she goes through, and we have to explain her issues that she has with different things and how they can help her. And she's had most of the same people on these teams throughout her years, so they all know pretty well that they have to call her name when they're throwing her the ball or whatever. So it's been really neat to see the kids growing with her and learning more about NF. And in fact, this last year she was like, "I need to talk to you all," and the girls were like, "Oh, about NF." So it's pretty neat to see that spreading throughout the school where people are getting more familiar with it.
That's like the whole point, right? Is to raise awareness so people can understand and, make modifications if you need it. Rory, do you think that there's any positives you get from being an NF fighter?
I made a new friend during chemo, so now I'm writing letters to her.
Get to go to camps and learn about a whole bunch of other different things out there, right?
Yeah.
Her medical knowledge has expanded quite a bit.
Can either of you guys speak on what NF Midwest has done for you specifically?
Rory's birthday falls on May 18th. He says for her birthday, she wants to go to the NF walk, and that's all she wanted for her birthday. She wanted to go down to Madison to the NF walk. So that's what we had to do. I mean, that was her one wish. So we had gone before, and it was a couple of years before that. So we've been on 2 walks down in Madison for NF Midwest. And it's really neat to see the other families that are going through the same journey we're going through. I mean, they're all a little different than each other, but we can sympathize with one another, the pains and the unknowns and the back and forth banter between us, and we have our own little inside jokes and everything like that. It's really neat to be able to connect with them, and NF Midwest is a great champion for that. And education too. I mean, you guys have a lot of pamphlets and everything, and you guys were one of the go-tos for us to educate ourselves for this beast.
What would you say to anybody that's like newly diagnosed?
Don't worry, it'll all be okay.
Heidi, what about you? Do you have any advice?
My advice for new parents or kids being diagnosed is to stop Googling stuff. You drive yourself crazy because there's so many different stories out there, and though they are helpful, not every story is the same. It will not be exactly what your family goes through, so stop Googling. It's nice to do it, to look stuff up and be prepared. So when somebody says your kid has an optic glioma brain tumor, you kind of understand what they're talking about. So that's helpful, but don't overdo it.
No, I get
Don't
it.
freak don't freak out. And I mean, our family mantra is one day at a time, you know. I mean, get through today because tomorrow's a completely different day. So get through today.
I love that.
She has a new doctor. We were talking about starting her on the selumetinib for a plexiform tumor that she has on her side of her body. The doctor had an idea and thought it'd be worth trying, and got a hold of a pharmacy, and they're actually formulating for her a topical version of trimetinib, and she's the first one to go and try it. So it's actually just been mailed today, so we'll get it in a couple of days, and the pharmacy has donated it to for science to try it and see if it works or does anything. So it's kind of cool.
When you guys do that, like volunteering for the clinical trials or things that haven't been like tried on anybody else, do you have any reservations, or are you just like trusting science?
We had gone back and forth, my husband and I, should we do it? Should we not do it? And just the idea of her trying the selumetinib was like, it's so daunting. You don't know what to do, you know. FDA approved it. Well, what does that mean? Well, look at all the side effects. Do the risks outweigh the benefits and everything like that? And you're at a loss, and you just have to hope the collection of doctors know what they're talking about and their advice, if it's pointing you in the right direction or not. And as a parent, it's very stressful, and talk after talk after talk. And what do you want to do? I don't know. And we always get Rory's advice, and we share everything with her, so there's no surprises. So she has been always a part of the conversation when it comes to decisions for her, and she says, let's do it. So let's do it. I guess somebody has to be first, and she's willing and wants to try it.
That's awesome. Well, I can't wait to see how it goes.
Our fingers are definitely crossed for it.
Thank you guys for your time, and thank you for sharing our story.